Chris Broussard. Should LeBron and the Lakers be favorites to win it all after getting Russell Westbrook?
No. Heavens no. 1,000 times no.
Oh, wow.
All right? Now, if you want to say they're the favorites in the West, I'm not going to throw a hissy fit. All right? I'll give them a puncher's chance for several reasons. One, the talent obviously at the top is incredible. LeBron, AD, and Westbrook, okay? Two, we know how smart LeBron is, one of the most brilliant players, basketball IQ-wise, that we've ever seen in the league. So maybe he can figure it out. And three, look, the West is devoid of world beaters, okay? The Clippers, I don't expect to see Kawhi Leonard next season at all, even though I think he'll be back with the Clippers. So they're going to be down. Phoenix, Utah, Denver, they're good. None of them is scaring you. Okay, they'll be there, they'll contend, but none of them is unbeatable, obviously. I do expect Dallas to take a jump with Luka, but again, who are they going to put around him and how are they going to fit around him? Portland, okay. Golden State will be improved, put them up there with the Denvers and the Utahs and the Phoenixes, but there's no one out there that is just an absolute juggernaut that's going to scare you. And so I give the Lakers a shot in the West. But despite all the problems, and we'll get to this, I'll go in my second round, a lot of issues with Westbrook and LeBron and AD fitting together. I don't like the fit. I'll just say that. I don't like the fit at all, but I'll give them a puncher's chance. But if they get out of the West, I like Brooklyn. Brooklyn should be the favorite. I will give the Lakers this. If they get to the finals, that means they figured it out, and they will be tough. But Brooklyn should be the favorite. We saw that these guys fit together swimmingly. All right, their only problem last year was health. That's it. Now, maybe that could be a problem. But if we're saying every team in the league, Lakers, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Golden State, everybody's healthy, I'm going with Brooklyn as the favorites. It's not unusual for it to take a year for a big three to come together and figure things out. So Brooklyn is the favorite. And I give the Lakers a puncher's chance.
A puncher's chance. Can we put that on like a card and like hold it up? The Lakers with LeBron, AD, and Russell Westbrook have a puncher's chance, LaVar. I mean, that's comical, Chris. Look at the gambling lines, okay? The Nets are the favorites. We get it. But in the West, it's the Lakers and everybody else. The Lakers are the best team in the West. Chris, the reality is with Russell Westbrook, they're going to wreck the league in the regular season. They're going to be dominant. Don't worry about the age. I know we can argue health. The Lakers will dominate the West. I just want to remind everybody at home who's watching this, the Lakers led the Suns 2-1 before AD went down. If AD doesn't go down, Lakers are getting to the finals. That's just the reality. That is a fact. Lakers would have been in the finals. Now you add Westbrook, who is a consummate regular season player. They are going to be awesome this season. They're probably going to be a 60-win team, 55, 60 wins, assuming there's 82 games again. I agree with you, though, Broussard, on the playoffs. I don't know about the spacing. We will see. We'll do free agency shortly. But just to remind people, the Nets, okay, I think they had the big three for 7 games in the regular season. And if memory serves, they were the number 2 seed. So the Nets are going to be pretty dominant. But again, Kyrie Irving is about as fragile and brittle as Anthony Davis. The numbers bear that out. And then you have the Harden versus Westbrook, slight edge to Harden. I'm not a huge Westbrook guy in the playoffs, and the numbers back me up there, too. But ultimately, yes, Chris, Nets number 1 to win the finals, but the Lakers are a clear 2. There isn't even anyone remotely close to them. The Bucks, well, let's be realistic,
Milwaukee?
They're not there. No, stop. Not the Bucks. LaVar, Lakers.
Why not?
Can you educate Broussard real quick?
Well, because they're not. And here's the thing. I agree with the Brooklyn Nets scenario, but think about if we're lining them up, if we're matching this up, who offsets KD? I think Anthony Davis offsets KD. Who offsets James Harden? I think LeBron James offsets James Harden. Who offsets Kyrie Irving? I think Russell Westbrook offsets, who am I talking about here? Kyrie Irving. There we go.
Kyrie.
And then now you got to go down low, right? Now this becomes a down low game. Who has the better opportunity of being better down low between these two teams is where I would look and say that's where the advantage is. I think when they added Andre Drummond, even though he disappeared in the last part of the playoffs just due to the style of play that was taking place. If you get into a series where you're playing against the Brooklyn Nets in a championship round game, Andre Drummond becomes a super, super critical piece to what's going on with the puzzle of being able to win a championship. I recall being on this very show with you and J-Mac, and even with Rick Bucher, and you guys said that the Lakers were the clear favorites to a maybe 1A, 1B Clippers to possibly come out of the West. Nothing has changed. If anything, they've improved by adding Russell Westbrook, and they might improve the culture of the team by letting someone like Kuzma go. Listen, Harrell, he could have been a better contributor. I think that he could have had a better season this year. But, for what it's worth, to get a Russell Westbrook, you let that go. And obviously with KCP. But when you think about it, you mentioned spacing, Mac. When you think about this Lakers team, we're still hearing murmurs and whispers that DeRozan wants to still come to this team. I don't know how you make it work. Hill, it's been rumored. I don't know how you make it work from the resources and the assets that the Lakers have remaining. But when you're a winner and you have the opportunity to play at this high of a level, people find ways to adjust and adapt what they want to do to be able to get on teams like this. If they add one more guy, it becomes overkill that you think that they're going to do what they need to do to win another championship. As they stand right now today, they are still just as much a heavy favorite in my book when you look at it matchup-wise as the Brooklyn Nets. And the West is a much tougher side of conferences, if you ask me. So if they're the favorite in a much tougher side of the conference, then to me, you got to think that they're the favorite to be able to win it all right now, today.
Here's the challenge. All right, we've talked about why you think it'll work. All right, the challenge is their pieces don't fit. In Brooklyn, the big three fits together.
But a lot of people didn't think that at
James Harden can be the
first.
playmaker and set the table for everybody else.
But you're using 2020 hindsight on this. That's 2020 hindsight.
It's not. All three guys. No, it's not.
Sure it is.
I
a
said
lot of
from
people
it
had
was
the
a
same,
chemistry experiment.
Those criticisms were there in the beginning
I'm talking
when
about
they
me.
went
I'm
there.
not talking about a lot of people.
Okay. All right.
I'm
that's
talking
fair.
about me. I
That's
felt
fair.
like if James Harden would play the point and Kyrie would accept being the two,
Kyrie put
then
him
I
at
thought
point.
it would work because Harden has those elite playmaking skills. And the key, LaVar, is all three of those guys could shoot. That
True.
makes it easier
is
to
true.
fit together because when you're a great shooter, you don't have to dominate the ball.
That's true.
The problem with the Lakers is none of their three
Can
guys
shoot.
are great shooters.
Right.
LeBron is a good shooter. He's a streaky shooter. But Davis is not a good outside shooter. He's so for a 7-footer. But I don't like him out there shooting
But
threes.
they play defense
He's 30%
and they can
for
get
his
to the
career.
rim.
He's
They play
30% for
defense
his
and they can
career.
get to the rim.
Westbrook's not a defender. Russell Westbrook is a 30% career shooter. Now, so here's where the guys they add around them better be able to shoot. Yeah. All right, they need to add major shooting around him. LeBron has always wanted the floor spaced. Westbrook needs the floor spaced. If they're going to go play old school basketball, add Dwight Howard, maybe keep Andre Drummond, play big and pound you, defense on one side, pound you on the other.
That's how they won in the bubble.
Then okay, you can try that against the three-point shooting of all these other teams. But no, they actually hit threes in the bubble.
KCP.
They didn't do it in the regular season. In the bubble, they shot well from three.
Yeah. They can't hit the same amount of threes they need. They were sized. They were too big for everybody in the bubble. That was the key to them winning that championship. Come on.
They've talked about LeBron playing power forward, AD playing center. AD needs to play center. But I think LeBron needs to be their primary decision maker in the half court. Westbrook can push the ball in transition. Westbrook can have the ball in his hands when LeBron's on the bench. That'll strengthen the second unit. But when those two on the floor, I like LeBron at the point. Yeah. I like Westbrook at the two, not shooting, catching and shooting, but catching and driving. And LeBron needs to be the primary decision maker in my view, on that team.
So, yeah, the free agency stuff, I heard somebody, I don't know which one of you guys mentioned DeMar DeRozan. That's a bad idea, okay? He's another non-shooter. It sounds like DeMar DeRozan is going to follow Kyle Lowry to Miami. Heat could be nice. But I think we're looking at, Chris mentioned it, spots like 7 through 12 on the roster right now have no name for the Lakers. We're looking at, like, Patty Mills being added. Should we get, like, a Wayne Ellington?
He would help.
I mean, listen, those are decent names, but I just want to remind people, guys like Bobby Portis were instrumental to the Bucks. Pat Connaughton had a couple big games in the finals. You need those role players. They matter. And Chris, you talked about Russell Westbrook being a non-shooter. Go look at some of his playoff series post Kevin Durant. The guy's shooting in the 20% from three. There's going to be times, and this is going to be on Frank Vogel and LeBron to manage it, where there's going to be 4 minutes left in the game, and Russ isn't playing defense and isn't spacing the floor, and they're going to have to pull Russell Westbrook off in late moments in the game and say, we need Wade Ellington out there, or something insane like that. And I just don't know, Chris, how Russell Westbrook's going to handle something like that as a pro, as a former MVP. He ain't going there to sit on the bench in crunch time. And that is another issue the Lakers are going to have to manage, because you could tell Kuzma and KCP, hey, sit on the bench. I don't know, LaVar, how you tell a star, and Russell Westbrook is a star, how you sit on the bench at the late games because you can't shoot the basketball.
They're not going to tell him to sit on the bench. They're going to have to figure it out, is what they're going to have to do. But you can have that one, Broussard. You're the expert.
No, well, that's why LeBron needs to be the primary decision maker. LeBron, we know he and Westbrook like the ball in their hands. LeBron will give it up if he trusts your decision making. But he's not going to. Russell Westbrook, as great as he is, and J-Mac, he's not a star. He's a superstar. As great and legendary as he is, he's never been known as the wisest decision maker. And that will be frustrating to LeBron. So LeBron has to run point. I think LeBron should look at it like, I'm Magic Johnson, and I'm the third scoring option. That doesn't mean he'll be the third leading scorer. LeBron will get 20 points just by playing 30 minutes a game. Just by being on the floor, he's that good, he's going to get 20 plus. He needs to make sure AD and Westbrook get fed. If he goes with that mentality, I think that's best for the Lakers. And like I said, I'll give him a shot because the talent is great and LeBron is smart and he might be able to figure this out. But this big three does not fit. It doesn't fit at all. And it's going to be, they're going to have to add really good shooting around those guys.
Yeah, all right, we're going to have to revisit this later.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.